So with Daredevil Born Again, there has been a lot of things going on. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the show, if you haven't seen the show, you know that right now Wilson Fisk is the mayor and he has banned vigilantes. And basically if you are a vigilante, you will be arrested and it is illegal to be one. And so I really want to talk about why he hates vigilantes because there are some reasons why. And they are all tied to three things: his power, control, and his personal identity. So let's get into why he hates vigilantes. So the first thing is, they basically destroy his whole criminal empire every time. So Kingpin is an undisputed crime lord of New York, right? He runs illegal operations like drug trafficking, money laundering, and extortion. And so heroes like Daredevil, Spider-Man, and the Punisher, they always actively interfere with his, business, costing him money, power, and influence. Daredevil, who is his main guy, right, disrupts his empire, constantly taking down his men. Spider-Man prevents Kingpin from gaining full control over New York. And Punisher, takes a more brutal like approach where he literally eliminates criminals, where like he's killing them. You know what I mean? And so every vigilante creates chaos in Kingpin's criminal world, which makes it harder for him to maintain dominance, which drives him literally insane. The second thing is he sees himself as the city's true protector. Kingpin doesn't just view himself as a criminal, he genuinely believes that he is a necessary force for order in New York. And he sees vigilantes as reckless and destructive, causing collateral damage instead of solving problems. And in his mind, his criminal empire keeps the city in check, preventing worse chaos. So to Kingpin, vigilantes are deluded idealists who don't understand how the real world works. Like Kingpin thinks that a lot of these heroes live in this fantasy world where Kingpin is like, I am a part of the real world where not everything is always good and bright. And obviously, another thing is his deep personal vendetta. Like certain vigilantes, especially Daredevil, have made it their mission to destroy him personally. So, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, obviously, he has exposed Kingpin's crimes, he has humiliated him, and he has sent Kingpin to prison multiple times. So, this isn't just a fight for power. This is a deep personal beef for Fisk. Kingpin, he wants revenge to prove that his way is more superior than what Daredevil's way is. And even in some versions, Spider-Man also makes Kingpin pissed off. And not just because of his crime fighting, because he embarrasses him publicly, constantly. Another thing, Kingpin believes that vigilantes are hypocrites. Kingpin sees himself as a self-made man who clawed his way to the top, while vigilantes hide behind a mask and a moral superiority. So he considers them liars and hypocrites. They break the law, but act as if they are above criminals. Unlike them, he owns his identity and doesn't pretend to be a hero. And this fuels his hatred and resentment towards them. Kingpin doesn't just want power for himself, but he wants to build a legacy. And vigilantes like Daredevil threaten everything he has ever built. And they turn people against him, making it harder for him to operate in the shadows or even in politics. And if he lets them win, his empire crumbles and his carefully built image is ruined. So Kingpin's hatred for vigilantes is a mix of business, ideology, personal vengeance, and a need for power. And to him, they are fools, threats, and obstacles to his vision of control and dominance. And we are seeing, and we are seeing in real time in Daredevil Born Again that Kingpin hates them and that he has created a law where you are not allowed to be heroes. So I'm very interested to see what is going to happen when Matt Murdock dons that Daredevil costume again, because the way that I feel is that the only way he's going to don the costume is if he knows that Kingpin is doing something dirty. And as we know from behind the scenes right now, Kingpin isn't doing anything dirty, but we know who is, and her name is Vanessa, who is Kingpin's wife. So we're going to have to figure out what is going on behind the scenes. And do you guys even think that Kingpin might be doing something even behind the scenes? Because even though this show is trying to sell us that he's a changed political figure who's trying to save the world or trying to save New York and help New York, do you guys think he has some shady stuff going on behind the scenes? Love to hear what you guys have to say. Please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, and peace out.